All right, Chewie, punch it.
Hey guys, welcome back and thanks for visiting Just the Best Parts. I'm SP and I'm back in the chair where I celebrate Star Wars culture and the fandom at large. Today we're breaking down the top best 3 parts from Episode 4 of Skeleton Crew and doing a deep read of why these scenes are so great. So let's dive in. Okay, so here's a quick recap. Jod and the kids arrive on Attin, a familiar planet version of Attin, but far from the utopia they expected. Instead, this planet is a war-torn hellscape. The kids fall into the clutches of General Strix, a warlord who forces them to lead his army into battle. Jod eventually shows up and rescues them. Together they infiltrate the supervisor's tower, where they discover the names and locations of the other jewel planets. But just as they're about to learn the location of Attin, 33 regains his memory, attacks the group, and leaves Neel passed out on the floor. The end. So starting out at number 3, I'm going with the whole sense of mystery on Attin. I loved the drabness of the color palette that they used here. It's muted, gray, and foggy. It helps telegraph the confusion that the kids are experiencing as well as the audience. And it serves as an unnerving juxtaposition compared to what we see in Attin. Then there's this whole war thing going on in the background. You got child soldiers, janky-ass Trade Federation looking tanks. What makes me wonder is, why did Attin fall? Is this some kind of an experiment? And why didn't we see Jod negotiate the release of the EOPs? That seems kind of weird to me. He's always acting shifty in the background. There's something going on there, and I just don't know what. And what's up with that big-ass cannon? They wouldn't go all out of the way to show us this thing unless someone's going to shoot it off at some point, right? So are we going to get a flashback of what happened, or are we going to return here at some point? Or do all these mystery planets have similar defenses? Will we see a cannon like this in action on Attin as well? You know, this whole episode felt like something is being set up for later in the season. And if that's not enough, then you get the whole supervisor tower and the 8 other jewel planets' names and locations. Minus Attin, of course, because the murderous 33 reveals he's destroyed the location of Attin before he freaks the F out. Another mystery. What was so important that 33's captain tried to hide the planet from everyone? He says it's a treasure, and yeah, and I get that. But could there be something more to the story than just the treasure? Who knows? We'll see. Overall, I think this episode did a great job at instilling a sense of confusion and dread, not only for the characters, but for the audience as well. I never quite felt like I had my footing in this episode. I was always off balance. That's a testament to the writing. And playing off the first one, coming in at number 2, it's 33 getting murdery. This was a really cool scene and it took me by surprise. I thought 33's attack was an absolute masterclass in subverting expectations. We were led to believe that after this emotional scene with Fern that we were finally going to be rewarded as an audience and get some damn answers. No. Instead, we get murder.
Murder?
Well, at least attempted murder anyway. And instead, we're left with a passed out Neel and no answer. And then there's just the great camera and puppet work that made this scene really menacing. It looks like they used a slightly wide-angle lens on 33's face to distort it, but also a body cam to make the scene even more disorienting. I don't know, but the jerky movements and camera work really made this creepy as hell in my opinion. Not to mention the whole repetition of pull them apart and limb from limb getting more and more bloodthirsty sounding as the scene goes on. This was very dark for Star Wars. It was a great scene. And of course you get the heroism of Neel to stand against a terrifying opponent in order to save his friend. That was the payoff to the audience, not some revelation about Attin we thought we needed. And my number 1 best part? Excellent character development. We've got Neel, the cowardly lion of the group and standout of the episode.
What did you do that for?
He finally finds the courage to face his fear. His journey in this episode is actually really touching. We see him caring for strangers, we see him caring about his friends, and not understanding why he has to fight. You can see where his head is. For Neel, it's a waste. Violence is not the way. And of course he's scared. I mean, just look at him. It's heartbreaking. You know, he's just not built for this. And again, we get the hero's journey. The hero needs to die metaphorically. And we see this when he stands up against 33 to save his friends. He confronts his fears and overcomes them, at which time the metaphorical death takes place. Neel fainted, and when he returns next episode, he will be more confident and sure of himself. And Fern also had a great moment of vulnerability when she confided in Wynn about how she too lacks confidence in her abilities. She had to put up this impossible facade of perfection for her overbearing mother, and as a result has bottled up so much resentment and pain that she has no choice but to put everybody's at arm's length. She carries the weight of her mother on her shoulders everywhere she goes, so she lashes out and always has a chip on her shoulder. And on the flip side, we see Wim finally giving a damn about somebody else other than himself for a change. And Wim is not unlike Fern. He too has to act as his own advocate, but for different reasons. For Fern, it was the hovercraft parent. for whim, it's the very absence of having a parent. Two sides of the same coin. This was a theme that was prevalent in the 1980s as it was the first generation of latchkey kids, those left to fend for themselves as both parents were working. The big question mark for me is KB. Everything about her is a mystery. We never really meet her parents to any large degree other than a few seconds in the last episode. Her face is mostly always hidden behind a visor, also a metaphorical mask of sorts, and we don't even know what her initials stand for. We know she's super smart, she's a great shot, she can see right through Jod, but we don't know what her story is at all. She seems to be a loner to some degree. Maybe she's the kid on the outside always looking in, looking to belong. I suspect her story is going to be poignant, and I'm really looking forward to knowing more about this character. So yeah, my favorite part of this episode was the great character development. Again, it's a bit tropey, but it's well executed. There's other stuff in there I liked as well, though. You know, the whole French resistance fighter vibe going on with General Strix and his daughter Hannah. I like the set they used for the Troika base. I like the interaction between Neel and Hannah and how they helped each other. And you can tell the writing in this show really is working hard at portraying what kids at this age go through. As a kid from the 80s, looking back at my own childhood, I see themes that are familiar and resonate. That's why these types of shows are so well received. They are nostalgic, but not just for the memories of the events that happened back then, but about how you went through those times and handled both challenges and successes. It's the hero's journey, and it's very Star Wars. So there you have it, folks. My best parts from this week's episode, and that's about it for me. But what do you think? Did I miss any of your favorite scenes? Drop a comment below. Let's talk about it. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more Star Wars breakdowns, reviews, discussions. And until next time, may the Force be with you.